Hey the Pyromaniacs, this is officially the second unscripted video I'm uploading this month, which I didn't want to do actually, because I already had another video in development that, is already pretty far along, but this is a video that I knew I was gonna make for a very long time, and so I just decided to just do it. Because as of July 18th, the Paramount Halo TV show is officially dead. I knew I was gonna make this video, but I thought they were gonna try and squeeze a little bit more blood out of this stone, so I thought this was like a few years down the line. So I just like to consider this video a bit of a post-mortem, a eulogy, if you will, for the series, and really give a brief overview of the highlights surrounding this show. The good, the bad, and the really bad in both the development and the show itself. I think it's important to reminisce on the good parts of this show first, and then we'll get into the bad and why this show was so controversial. Number one, the armor was cool. It was at the very least salvageable enough to be put in Halo Infinite's store, so that's something. And the character of Kai was cool. She was like the only likable character in the show. And that's all for the positives. Everything after is just bad. Like the special effects, the acting, the casting, the writing was bad, everything was bad. Let's go all the way back, because I'm going to be really petty throughout a lot of this video, because I'm just so happy it's over. So let's roll it all the way back to 2013, when this show was announced. The Halo TV show was announced right alongside the Xbox One, which was already a really good omen, considering we all know just how good that press conference was. Everybody loved that press conference. Watch my video on how Xbox became a joke to see just how good of a press conference that was. Jokes aside, people were legitimately hyped for this thing, and we had good reason to be hyped, because just the year before, we got Forward Unto Dawn, which was a really good little mini-series. It was low budget, but it was pretty good for what it was. And also, it was announced that Steven Spielberg would be involved, and hey, Steven friggin' Spielberg, that's pretty cool. E.T., Jurassic Park, he's iconic. That being said, I feel like a lot of people don't realize that he has just as many misses as he does hits, but the hits completely overshadow the misses, so people don't really notice. But the weird thing is that after this press conference, everything just went dark. We didn't hear anything about this show, to the point that I kind of just assumed that the show that was pitched eventually turned into the Halo Nightfall miniseries that came out the following year. Especially considering, despite the fact that I don't think Spielberg was involved in that, it was produced by Ridley Scott, which is another iconic name in Hollywood to be connected to Halo. So for a long time, I thought we already got the Halo show. I thought that it was Nightfall. But no, apparently the show was just going through the most intense development hell I've ever heard of. It was getting shopped around to networks. I know at some point it was going to be on Stars, and then finally, after 9 whole years, conveniently right after Paramount decided to announce their streaming service, the Halo show magically reappeared, and it was announced that it was going to be on Paramount Plus. So I think this raises a pretty interesting question. Was this a show that was just rushed through development to try and generate more content for a streaming service that nobody wanted? Yes. Yes, that's exactly what this is. So now that we got the good out of the way and we discussed some of the history, let's get on to the bad. Considering this is an unscripted video, I'm not trying to make a whole review or retrospective here, I'm just trying to run through the greatest hits. Like the fact that the showrunner boldly and brazenly announced that they didn't look at the source material. Wow. Just wow. Like, can you imagine any other adaptation getting that level of disrespect? Can you imagine, like, a book series? Like, let's say they announce that they're adapting Brandon Sanderson's Mistborn trilogy into a show, and one of the first things the showrunner says is, oh yeah, we didn't read the books, we didn't look at the books, we're doing our own thing. Would that not be the biggest red flag on the planet? I mean, clearly they did look at some of the source material, just enough to cherry pick which parts they wanted to keep and which parts they wanted to completely alter. Like, they added in the Rubble from the Cole Protocol, they added in Parangoski from Glasslands, they added in Soren from Evolutions. So clearly there was somebody in in there who kinda, sorta, a little bit knew some stuff, but most of this deep lore stuff felt more like fan service than anything. None of it really felt like it meant anything. Especially considering that's not Soren, that's not the Rubble, that's not Parangoski, because nothing else about this show resembles Halo in the slightest. You can't just wave deep lore characters in front of fans' faces as fan service when nothing else in the show felt like it was made with fans in mind. In fact, most of it felt like it was made specifically to spite fans, making the brave and daring choice to show Master Chief's face. The faceless protagonist of Halo, finally unmasked! Even though if you paid any attention to the source material at all, you'd know that we've already seen Master Chief's face on multiple occasions, and it's not much of a secret what he looks like. It's pretentious is what it is. And the worst thing is, something like that can work. Showing Master Chief's face isn't the problem. It's the fact that Master Chief is always showing his face. He never wears the helmet. That's the problem. But I feel like I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself, because hey, none of this really matters, because, you know, this isn't Halo. They even say that it's not Halo. This isn't the Halo that we know. This is an alternate timeline. We can do whatever the we want because this is an alternate timeline. We don't have to adhere to how this universe works because it's an alternate timeline. And yet, despite that, despite the rules of this universe not matching up with the main timeline at all, they also seem to be reliant on you knowing the rules of the mainline universe to understand certain story elements. It is never explained why the Covenant is at war with humanity, why they consider humanity a threat. We know why the humans and the Covenant are at war in the games, and it's because the Covenant believe the humans to be heretics. But in reality, it's because humanity's existence directly proves their religion wrong. Because humans are the reclaimers, humans are the inheritors of the mantle of responsibility, which directly goes against Covenant teachings in which they believe that they are the reclaimers, they are the ones that inherited the Forerunner's technology. That is not explained in the show, and in fact, reclaimers don't exist anymore. They've removed the idea of humanity as a whole being special, and have instead gone for this generic chosen one cliche where only specific special humans can use Forerunner technology. And it just so happens that Master Chief is one of these special humans. They took one of the coolest elements of Halo's lore and replaced it with a trope. Another thing that is pretty obvious that they screwed up with the Covenant is the fact that because they're not really at war with humanity, they are allowing special humans into their ranks. In this universe, the Covenant just abduct humans like old school 1950s aliens. It's so cliche. They replaced everything that made Halo unique and cool with cliches. And from stuff like interviews with the showrunners and stuff, it's very clear why they made these changes. And it's for the same reason that 343 keeps changing things in the series. Because they want to cast a wider net to appeal to a broader audience. Which, you know, I feel like it's safe to say at this point that that doesn't work. Please stop doing that, because I cannot think of a single time that that has actually worked. That being said, people online swear to God that Season 2 is better, but even then, a polished turd is still a turd. In fact, I would actually argue that Season 2 is worse, because Season 2 tried to course correct and tried to become more accurate to the games. They tried to, introduce elements from Ghosts of Onyx. It was kind of a loose adaptation of Ghosts of Onyx a little bit, along with being a loose adaptation of Fall of Reach. Fall of Reach, by the way, lasted entirely one episode, so good job. The big, cool thing that everybody was looking forward to lasted one episode, good job. Master Chief still never wore his helmet once. In fact, he didn't even wear his armor for most of the season, which feels more like doubling down than course correcting, but, you know, whatever. But despite all that, I don't think they should have bothered with course correcting at all. This is already just not Halo by any stretch of the imagination outside of the name, so why even pretend? Make up your own stuff. Don't adapt adapt the source material, make up your own ideas. Or even better, just lift more cliches. Give Master Chief an evil twin called Senior Chief 006, who defected to the Covenant and now he's the big bad. Like, why not? You love these space shamans so much, why not just, like, make the whole show about the space shamans? Give Master Chief the ability to use the Force. You know, wouldn't that be cool? Just turn Master Chief into a Jedi. Why not? Legit, I think the show would have been more fun if they continued to just completely ignore the source material and just make trash. Because at least then, I would have at least had something to laugh at. But as is, I'm just so tired. As far as video game adaptations go, this show is a relic. And a relic that I am so glad we are finally moving past in this industry. With shows like The Last of Us and Fallout, it's great to see that there are finally people in Hollywood who respect video games as a medium of storytelling and are able to recognize them as legitimate forms of entertainment to the degree that they want to do these games justice. Like, I know that people do have a lot of problems with the Fallout show in terms of like continuity and where it takes the universe, but keep in mind that if that show were made like 10 years ago, it would have just been a ripoff of Mad Max or I Am Legend. It wouldn't have resembled Fallout at all. I'm just glad that this show is over so we can eventually potentially make way for a good Halo show from people who actually respect the source material and want to tell a good adaptation of this universe. Because truly, I think that Halo is ripe for adaptation as either a TV show or a movie. It is a space epic. I feel like it deserves the same respect as something like Dune. I'm really sorry for making something that is essentially a rant video, and in fact, I already had a video in the pipeline already, but I just kind of wanted to push this video out just because it's a current event and I really wanted an opportunity to talk about it. So yeah, keep your eyes peeled in the next week or so, because I will have an actual scripted video up by then. But until then, as always, thanks for watching. If you like this video, leave a like and become a pyromaniac yourself by subscribing. Until next time, stay nerdy, my friends.